So today I'm riding a bike that is a little bit confused. It doesn't know whether it's a scooter or whether it's an adventure bike. I'm of course talking about Honda's rather unique and unusual XADV, which, would you believe, in Europe is Honda's second best selling motorcycle. We sold 76,000 of these across Europe. Well, in this video I'll tell you what I think about it and see why they've proved so popular. Hey kids, it's Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. Welcome back to the channel and another bike review, and welcome to a rather posh part of Great Bissington. This is the very inaptly named Grim's Hill, because grim it isn't. Every property here is an absolute belter. I'd like to pretend I lived here, but I don't. But we can all aspire to something, can't we? Anyway, enough of that. What about the XADV then? Well, this is a motorcycle that I rode when they first came out back in, I think it was 2017, and I was pretty impressed by it, I have to say. And that particular video got a lot of views as well, so it's certainly a bike that piques a lot of people's interest. But as I said in the pre-intro, it is a bit of an unusual bike because a lot of people think it's a scooter, whereas it's more like a motorcycle pretending to be a scooter, or perhaps it's a scooter pretending to be a motor. I don't know. Anyway, maybe we can come to that sort of conclusion at the end of the video. But before we get into more on the bike, how it rides and so on, let me show you over this beast. Alright, here she is then, the Honda X-ADV. This is a 2025 motorcycle, but the 2026 ones are exactly the same. They've just changed the colours a bit. Check out the Honda website for details of the colours that they do now. This obviously in this striking yellow. For the 2026 model year, they do one in the Honda HRC colours, which I think looks absolutely brilliant. Anyway, let's have a little quick look over then. So front end of the bike, pretty bulbous looking. I'm in sort of two minds whether I like the look of this bike or not. I'm not quite sure. It does remind me of the of other bikes in the range. I think, is it the NC1000? Can't quite remember, but it looks a bit like a lion at the front. I think I've got a bit of lion going on, I don't know. Anyway, this one has got some optional extras. I think things like the crash bars and the spotlights, which I'll show those working a bit later, are additional optional extras. I think this upswept exhaust pipe I really like the look of, sort of in keeping with its rugged off-roady intentions, and also it sounds pretty good. It won't come out on the microphone very well, but it actually sounds really nice, that pipe, so you don't need to change that. Wheels look quite small on here, but which they are compared to a normal motorcycle. I don't actually know what size they are, but they look to be about 18 inches, don't they? But it handles fine. It doesn't feel like it's got tiny wheels. Obviously the handling's slightly different, but you know, it's not like a conventional Vespa or something where the wheels are tiny. Anyway, let's have a look at the controls here. We'll talk about these a bit later, but yeah, quite unconventional because this is the DCT bike. But quite a nice place where you're sat looking over things. Something to show you is this control here, because this is how you not only start and stop the bike, but you also do things like open the fuel and the seat. So let me show you under the seat. Press that button. There we go, this seat lifts up and you've got quite a bit of storage under there. Honda assure me you can fit a helmet in there, and I'll talk more about that a bit later, but very, very handy. That's part of what makes this bike think it's a scooter. Super practical, that sort of thing. But yeah, there we go. So like I say, not too sure whether I like it. I think I like it. I definitely don't find it ugly. It's unusual, isn't it? It's unusual. What do you think? Does it appeal to you? Maybe it's the colour that's not doing it any favours. Anyway, that's enough looking. Let's get on and ride it. Okay, welcome back to the Honda X-ADV, where I'm navigating many closed roads. There's still a lot of those in this area, which I'm not complaining about, because presumably it means they're fixing potholes. Anyway, so much for how the X-ADV looks. And yeah, it's certainly quirky, isn't it? How does she ride? Blimey, once again I've come out on a really busy part of the day, it seems. So first thing I would say about the bike is it's extremely comfortable. Is that? It's got a big old seat, very wide feeling handlebars, and you're sat as if you're sat bolt upright on like a dining room chair. Now because it's sort of scooter-esque, if you're looking down where my legs are, you can have your feet sort of tucked a bit behind you in a sort of a sporty manner like that if you're feeling motorcycly, or indeed you could pop your feet out the front in a more sort of cruiser-esque style. So there's room to move around, room to make yourself comfortable. So from a comfort point of view, it scores on all fronts. It's Nice and roomy, you can move about, the seats well padded, very nice indeed. Now we'll go through the specs as usual a little bit later in the review, but just to let you know, this is a parallel twin motorcycle and it's got a 750cc or thereabouts engine in it. Puts out something like 40 brake horsepower. As I say, we'll go through the specs later, but just so you know what we're dealing with. When you're looking at the dash here, this is also, I must say, a DCT bike. All these come with dual clutch transmission, so the levers you see here is your front brake on the right, rear brake is on the handlebar here, so there's no pedals to deal with, so it's literally like riding a scooter, albeit with a motorcycle engine and with the DCT gearbox. If you're wondering what this big handle is here, that's basically a handbrake, parking brake if you like, for if you park her on a hill. Now I'm a big fan of DCT. I had the DCT in my old Goldwing and it was brilliant for touring with. And given these bikes predominantly are urban transport, or maybe even touring bikes to be fair, then I think DCT absolutely fits this perfectly. Honda have done some tweaks to the DCT, claiming to have made it better at slower speeds and pulling away for the XADV. Well, I've done a few slow speed pulling away tests, and I have to say, in this particular machine I find it a little bit jerky. Well, not so much jerky, just quite hard to finesse pulling away and riding off at slow speeds. I actually found it easier on my Goldwing. That might be because of the colossal weight of the Goldwing compared to this, and therefore it was a bit slower to get off the mark. But yeah, I do find the DCT at slow speeds on this not that great, but other than that I'm a fan of it because it makes for very relaxed riding. If you are in the urban environment, a lot of these will be used in town, then it's absolutely brilliant in stop-start traffic. And again, if you're just cruising along on tour or something with your missus on the back, say, then absolutely relaxed riding, lovely. So yeah, a bit of an unconventional handlebar. You've got the DCT controls over here. You can ride it fully auto as I have at the moment, or you can do the manual thing and use the buttons. You've got the start and stop button, and you've also got cruise control, which is a nice touch. On the left hand handlebar you've got your mode button. There are riding modes on here, more of that later. One of those little paddle things which you move through the various menu options with, indicators, and the set button for the cruise control, which I'm glad to say is on the left hand handlebar, which makes far more sense than having it all on the right. Alrighty, let's go down my favourite bumpy road, if there's not some sort of calamity down here, see how the suspension handles. What's going on here then? Ah, cyclist. I say nothing. I'm a cyclist too, so I'm not having a go. Right, okay, so this is my favourite bumpy road. And okay, I'm not hammering down here because I'm stuck behind these cars, but I might have to say the suspension is quite plush. It's not wallowy and super soft by any means. In fact, if you are in your mind thinking of this as a scooter, then it certainly feels sporty. I think for me the riding position makes you think you're on a scooter, but the way it goes, I've got this in sport mode at the moment by the way, is very much more motorcycly. Sounds quite mean as well when you give it the gas, although I don't expect the microphone to necessarily pick that up. Oh, what an absolutely beautiful day to be out riding. It's been an absolutely cracking summer here in Blighty this year. It'd be better if I wasn't stuck behind the slowest polo in the world. Oh come on madam, this is a 60 mph limit. Anyway, while we're trundling along, let's have a look at the TFT. Nice and clear. What more can you say about it? It's got everything you need on there, including a fuel gauge. The little motorbike in the top left there that's greyed out, that shows you the riding mode you're in. It has an eco mode as well as rain, standard, sport I'm in now, and a user mode. I think that's all of them. Very easy to change mode on the fly. You just use the mode button, roll off the throttle, and then you're in the next mode. Let's hope both these cars are going straight on, so I can give her a little squirt down this little road on the right. No indicators from the Polo. This is looking good. Yay, we're good. Right, let's see how this thing goes then. Changes gear quite quickly out first. Yeah, it feels nice down here. The suspension is quite plush actually. Very nice. Definitely handles more like a motorcycle than a scooter. Yeah, no complaints there. Mirrors on here work excellently, by the way. They're massive barn door type mirrors, no vibrations whatsoever. You've got a cracking view out the back, so no complaints there. So it seems with all the practical stuff, Honda have done pretty well here, and that it goes well and it handles well. But what about stopping? Well, I must say I don't find the brakes that good on here. I don't know if it's because I've borrowed this at the end of the demo year. Maybe this bike's got a few miles on it. I say that, it's only got 1,244 miles on it, so it's hardly super used, but I don't find the front brake that good. I've got a car behind me, but I'll just give it a little tickle. Yeah, I mean, it's adequate, but it's not quite as sharp as I'd like, not quite as good as other brakes on more conventional motorbikes. I don't know why that is, because it's exactly the same as brakes on other motorbikes. Just, I would like a bit more braking power, I think. Rear brake actually is fine, quite stiff at the lever, but it works all right, and if anything, it's probably better than a conventional motorbike. The other thing to mention is this windscreen. It is adjustable. I've got it in the lowest possible position. I did that to give you the best view over the bike. It's probably making for a noisier ride because I can feel quite a bit of wind in my face. This adjusts via this little knob on the left here, but you can only really do it when you're stopped. I've tried doing it here, but I just don't think that's advisable. So yeah, it's a stopped only type thing. Right, let me show you how this screen works then. Actually, while I'm off the bike, it's running at the moment. Just show you the lights on here as well. So an absolute festoonery of lights, including new projector headlights for the 2025 model, and I guess the spotlights and the crash bars, I think they may be extras, I'm not sure, but they look pretty good. You're certainly going to see that bike coming. There's a lot of light there. Anyway, I mainly want to show you this screen look. It's quite an attractive looking screen. It's got this little windy bit just here, which you sort of pull out, and then, how did I do this? I did this earlier quite successfully. It's a bit fiddly. Oh, was it that? Maybe it's that. Was it that? Was it that? Oh, hang on. Maybe you unlock it with that. Perhaps that's it. There you go. You unlock it with that. Got there in the end. It's a lot easier than I made that look. So that's fully up. It does go quite high. This reminds me of the front of these. Is it the NC 1000 that Honda make? It does look a bit like that front end, doesn't it? And there you go. That's it with the screen in the up position, which does a good job of deflecting everything off you, as you can imagine. But it is, let's be honest, a little bit fiddly to move up and down. I'll leave it in the down position. Anyway, you get the general idea. I take that all back. You are, by the way, watching a professional motorcycle reviewer here. It is actually easier to do on the move because I've just worked out. If you just move that little locking clip, look, you can move it down, and there you go. And immediately, with the noise through the microphone, hopefully you can hear that I've got loads more wind on my face now with it in the down position. Although the bike just feels more sporty like that. You move it back up again, put it back into lock, there we go. Very, very easy to do while you're on the move, as it turns out. Actually rather like that screen, works at a treat. It's actually really relaxing just to cruise along here. This is what DCT I think is brilliant for. It just takes the drama out of riding. You can just enjoy the ride and enjoy the view. Alright, while I'm doing that some more, let me whiz you through the specs in the usual way. Alright, first thing to talk about is the engine. A 745cc parallel twin, putting out around about 58 brake horsepower and 69 newton meters of torque. Braking on the front taken care of by 4-pot Nissin calipers on twin 296mm discs. On the rear we've got this single pot caliper on a 240mm disc, and underneath that you can see the parking brake caliper. Suspension on the front taken care of by 41mm upside down forks with 153mm of travel. On the rear, the suspension is taken care of by a monoshock. You'll have to take my word for it because it's living under that cover there, with 150mm of travel. So quite good travel for some actual off-road pretensions. Or is that intentions? Seat height on the bike comes in at 820mm. It does feel quite tall, and because it's got, it's quite wide, this seat, I don't think this is a bike for shorties. Curb weight of the bike is 237 kilograms. All the weight is nice and low, but it is quite a heavy motorcycle. Fuel tank capacity on the bike, 13.2 litres. I would expect this to be pretty frugal though. Electronics wise, it's now got this 5-inch TFT on it, which is very nice. It's got the cruise control, redesigned LED projector headlights with DRLs, Honda road sync connectivity for your nav and all that kind of thing, 4 riding modes plus user configurable ones, and the new version of DCT. Oh, and also it's got auto cancelling winkers. The price of the standard XADV is $11,499, or if you want those fancy 2026 HRC colours, it'll cost you a bit more at run through the pros and cons of the bike, shall we? Based just on this first ride of the motorcycle. Obviously I've not ridden it hundreds and hundreds of miles, I've not lived with the bike. This is purely based on my first impressions on the bike. So I would say in terms of comfort, it's an absolute big tick. 10 out of 10, a more comfortable place to be. I don't think there really are that many. It does remind me actually a bit of my Goldwing. Maybe the seat's not quite as padded and quite as plush as that, but it's that sort of comfort, so comfort is very much a good thing. In terms of go, the engine is lovely on here. It goes absolutely fine. There's a little bit of lag with the throttle when you wind her on, as the DCT works out what it is you're trying to do, but it goes absolutely fine. Stopping, not so much. That's my first dislike. The brakes aren't quite as good as I'd like. I'm also a little bit disappointed with the under seat storage. Now, storage is dead useful on bikes, whatever you've got, isn't it? When it's built in, it's an absolute winner, but lots of people want to put a crash helmet under the seat, and although technically I'm assured this will take crash helmets, I've tried my smallest helmet under the seat, and I've got a particularly large head, and I, no matter what I do, cannot get the seat to close with the helmet under it. And that might be because I've got cons on the helmet, so I might be being, you know, incorrect there, and I am told by Honda that you can definitely get a helmet under the seat, so take Honda's word for it, not mine. All I'm saying is I've got quite a helmet collection. I couldn't get any of mine under the seat and close the seat, so that's another little dislike. I suppose there is that sort of scooter image thing that you'd have to get used to, although it rides very well and is a well-spec'd motorcycle by any means. It does look a little bit like a scooter. I don't much like it in this yellow colour actually. I think the more subtle colours, the greys and the blacks, might be better. It would be fascinating to see what it's like off-road, because it does have a fair bit of suspension travel and it is marketed as a go anywhere motorcycle. Sorry I haven't done that on this first ride, but issues with my shoulder, I won't go into detail, prevent me from doing so. Okay, let's just leave it at that. Now the dislike is slightly the handling at very slow speeds. The DCT quite as smooth rolling away as I would like. And then the last thing I can think of while I'm on the negatives is there is a little bit of buzziness through the seat and handlebars at certain revs. Not enough to put me off the bike and not enough to be annoying, but it is there, just so you know. It's probably just the nature of the parallel twin. But there is a lot to like about it. I love the DCT, with the exception of that slow speed pulling away. I love the comfort of this bike. I actually like the image. I like it sort of rugged, go anywhere look, and I like the fact that you don't see lots of them here in the UK. When you go abroad, you do see them around quite a lot. Certainly in Spain, when I was there in the winter, I saw a lot of these on the road. But I'd love to see a few more on the UK roads. So I think it's a thumbs up from me. I personally am not going to rush out to buy one, but I can completely understand why people would, and particularly if you are living a slightly more outdoorsy life and you want to take a bike, you know, down some tracks to your local beach or whatever and carry some stuff, then this would be absolutely perfect for you. Even maybe if you've got like a motorhome and a little trailer, this would be a great bike for that sort of thing as well. So I can see where it would score, but for my type of riding, I don't think it's for me. Anyway, it'd be absolutely fascinating to read your comments below. If you've got one of these, if there's anything else you think I've missed that we should cover off, then do comment below, and that will make a good resource for anyone else that's thinking of buying one of these. But for now, that's it for this time. Hope you enjoyed the review. Don't forget, don't be a stranger. If you've not done so already, hit that subscribe button, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Until then, this has been the Mist and Fly. Cheerio. Alright, I always like to focus on the practical things when it comes to the motorcycle reviews I do, and one of the practical things I like to look at is what is the bike like, I should say, when it comes to lugging it about your garage. So for that I come down here to the Great Western train station and try manoeuvring the bike around off the stand to see you know, what it'd be like moving it around your garage, and also to check out what the steering lock's like. So I did get told recently to park actually on the line rather than in the middle of a space, which would make much more sense, but I don't always make a lot of sense, so I'm going in the middle again. Alright, so once you've stopped on this, it being DCT, you can hit the neutral button like that, and then it's in neutral obviously, and then the stand is a bit of a faff to get at, but once you've got it, it's quite positive, and you turn it off by turning that, there you go, and bingo bongo, that's what she looks like. Alrighty, so let's give her a little move then, see what she's like. So getting it off the side stand, piece of absolute cake, because all the weight is very, very low indeed on this bike, so it's very easy to move around actually. Nice grab handle as well. And if we go to full lock, let's see how she does. It feels already like it's going to be quite a tight turning circle. Here we go, round we go, and down. Oh, and by the way, it does come with a centre stand, look at that. Alright, so that was the middle of that spot to pretty much the line there. That makes it one of the tighter turning bikes that I've ever done this lugging about test on. So very easy to get off the stand, very easy to lug around, tight turning circle. So if you've got a bit of a tight space at home you want to keep it in, you can have absolutely no problems with this. Very easy to live with in that respect. Oh, check out these passenger foot pegs. They're quite cool, aren't they? And I've only just noticed it's got these additional foot pegs here if you want to be particularly sporty. How did I not spot those? Brilliant. I'll tell you what, riding it along with your feet on those conventional foot pegs that I just discovered, it feels entirely like a normal motorcycle. Suddenly it's transformed the riding position from being one of a scooter to being one of, well, it feels like an adventure bike, to be honest. That is brilliant. How did I not know about that? How did I not read that in the blurb? The positions you can get your feet in are just flipping brilliant on this. Right, I'm taking back what I said about it not being a bike for me. Now I've discovered that extra foot peg position, it makes the bike feel altogether more sporty and much better place to be. I really like it. I can imagine this being quite a good fun bike in the twisties. Sadly, I don't have any twisties around here to try it out on, but yeah, it's gone from a thumbs down to a thumbs up. I would have one of these. It's great. Who thought such a small thing could make all the difference? Stop recording.